morning, Rabbi.
Good morning, Barbara. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Good to see you. Good to be with you.
We are going to start this morning with Hine Matov, how good it is that we can be together. Hine Matov, umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov, umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov, umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. How good it is, how sweet it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Shevet achim gam yachad.
It is good to be together, all of us in our own places, but still drawn together by this holy day and by the need that all of us share to have community and to be connected in song and in prayer and in community. So I'm glad that you're with us, whether you are joining us on Facebook or on our streaming page on the website. We're glad that you have given us some of your time this morning to take care of those inner needs that we all share. We're going to be sharing some of the texts of the prayers on the slides that will be on your screen. I'll also do my best to mention some page numbers as we go, if you'll be following along on your own copy of Mishkan Tefillah wherever you are. We are going to begin on page 74 of those books with the singing of Ma Tovu.
Mishkenotecha
continue now with the opening blessing with which we give thanks for the miraculous gift of our bodies. It's a time for us to just think about our bodies, how they work, how they frustrate us, how they inspire us, and just take a moment in gratitude for the miraculous gift that all of us have to make our way through life in these bodies we inhabit. We're on page 77 of Mishkan Tefillah. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe. With divine wisdom you have made our bodies, combining veins, arteries, and vital organs into a finely balanced network. Wondrous maker and sustainer of life, were one of them to fail, how well we are aware, we would lack the strength to stand before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of our health and strength. Baruch atah Adonai, rofei chol basar umafli la'asot. My soul came to me pure, drawn from the reservoir of the holy. All the time it remains within me, I am thankful for its thirst for compassion and justice. Let my eyes behold the beauty of all creatures. Let my hands know the privilege of righteous deeds. Baruch atah Adonai, asher biado nefesh kol chai, beruach kol besar ish. We'll continue now with the Nisim B'chol Yom, the morning blessings with which we give thanks for our everyday miracles. These will be appearing on your screen, and if you're following along in your own prayer book, these are on the even-numbered pages starting on page 80.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan l'sech vivina lehavchin ben yom uvein laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam who opens the eyes of the blind. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam who frees the captive. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam who lifts up the fallen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam who stretches the earth over the waters. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam who strengthens our steps. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam who clothes the naked. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam who gives strength to the weary. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam who removes sleep from the eyes, slumber from the eyelids. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam who made me in the image of God. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam who has made me free. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me a Jew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who girds Israel with strength. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who crowns Israel with splendor.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to engage with words of Torah. And so, having said that blessing for the study of inspiring holy text, we'll offer this reading that reminds us of the everyday obligations that we carry in partnership with the everyday miracles for which we are thankful. These are things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world while the principle remains in the world to come. They are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study, morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people, but the study of Torah encompasses them all. We continue now with the singing of the 150th Psalm. Chatzi Kaddish is on page 106 of your prayer books.
Yitgadal ve'yitgadash me Rabba Be'alma divrach yirtei yamlich malchutei B'chayechon u'v'yomechon U'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael Bagala u'bizman kariv V'yimeru Amen Yehi Shmei Rabba mevorach ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל שמי בקודשה בריחו לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה גם מאירן בעלמה ואמרו Amen.
The Baruch Hu is on page 108 if you're following along in your prayer book, and if you're in a place where it's comfortable for you to rise for the call of prayer, we rise now.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uvorei choshech osei shalom uvorei et hakol hameir la'aretz v'ladarim aleha berachamim uvtuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reishit ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai kulam b'chochma asita mal'ah ha'aretz kinyanecha titbarach Adonai Eloheinu al shevach ma'aseh yadecha ve'al me'orei or she'asita yefa'aruch hasela or chadash al Tzion ta'ir v'niskei chulanu mehera le'oro Baruch atah Adonai yotzer ha'me'orot. Love your neighbor as yourself, you said, and light-blinded we saw that inner and outer worlds are one, as you are one. You spoke and we wrote. We reached for you down the centuries, your light moving before us as we climbed, fell back, and climbed again, your Sinai of life. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher ba'amo Yisrael be'ahava.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai
To continue with Ve'ahavta, if you are standing, you may be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
The good in us will win. Over all the wickedness, over all the wrongs we have done, we will look back at the pages of written history and be amazed, and then we will laugh and sing. And the good that is in us, children in their cradles, will have won. Our hearts beat with certainty that there is a day and an hour and a mountain called Zion, and that all of the sufferings will gather there and become song, ringing out into every corner of the earth from end to end, and the nations will hear it, and like the caravans in the desert, will all to that morning throng.
לפני משה ומרים, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך, לעולם ועד. צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ופדה חינומך, יהודה בישראל. גואלנו, אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Move now into our Amidah, into the central section of our service. If you're following along in a prayer book at home, these prayers will be found on the even-numbered pages, starting on page 124, or you can follow the slides on your screen. In either case, if you are in a place where it's comfortable for you to rise for these prayers, I invite you to do so as we enter into prayer together.
Adonai שפתי תפתח ופי אגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu avotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chastei Avot V'imahot, U'mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah. Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Atah Lehoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha Bal Gevurot, Umidomelach, Melech Memit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lehachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam, B'shem shemakdishim oto b'shnei marom, Kakatuv al yad nevi'echa, V'kara ze el ze ve'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Meloch kol haaretz, Evodo. Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonenu, Ha'adir, Shimcha bechol haaretz, Baruch kevod Adonai mimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, Hu Avinu, Hu Malkeinu, Hoshienu, Vehu Yashmienu, Berachamav le'enei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohayich Tzion, Ledor vador. Hallelujah. Ledor vador nagid God lecha, Ul netzach netzachim kedushatcha naqdish, V'shivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
We're going to take a few moments now for our own individual silent prayer, and you may be seated at any time.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן.
Friends, we're going to continue now with the reading of some verses from this week's Torah portion. This week we find ourselves in the beginning of a brand new book of the Bible. This week we start our reading of the book of Numbers. We are in Parashat Bamidbar, in Sefer Bamidbar, the portion called Bamidbar in the book that is called Bamidbar. So we will begin with the very beginning of the book. You can see there on your screen. I'll be reading this morning the beginning of Numbers chapter 1, first 4 verses of that book. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch ata Adonai noten ha'torah. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe b'midbar Sinai באוהל מועד באחד לחודש השני בשנת השנית לצאתם מארץ מצרים לאמור שאו את ראש כל עדת בני ישראל למשפחותם לבית אבותם במספר שמות כל זכר לגולגלותם מבין 20 שנה ומעלה כל יוצא צבא בישראל תפקדו לצאתם אותם אתה ואהרון ואיתכם יהיו איש איש למטה איש ראש לבית אבותיו. הוא ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה. As we do each time we read our Torah, we take just a moment now with the holiness of this moment and in the sanctity of this scroll to take a second to pray for healing. This is the time for us to turn our thoughts outward, to think of those in our circles of care and our circles of family and community, to pray on behalf of those this Shabbat who are in need of healing, comfort, relief, restoration, recovery. We think of them now. We draw them close to us into our hearts and in our prayers as we sing.
May the source of strength, oh bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body
Before we continue with the rest of our learning and the rest of our service this morning, we will redress the scroll. So, Barbara, a little traveling music, please.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu echad kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu echad kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu echad kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu echad kodsho.
Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom again, everyone. Good to be with you. I want to share a couple of short community announcements with you before we do a little bit of learning together about our portion this week. A note about an event coming up this week that I'm really, really excited about. Our community across denominations and across congregations will be sponsoring a community-wide, multi-denominational Shavuot Learnathon, which will feature clergy and educators from across Houston, from across different congregations and institutions, each teaching 45-minute slot or so of various different topics in honor of the holiday of Shavuot. That's going to be happening this coming Wednesday, the 27th, from 8 a.m. until 10 p.m. So we've got a full day of learning, lots of different teachers to learn from, a whole smorgasbord of Jewish learning. I really, really hope you'll make time to pop in for some, probably not all of that 14-hour marathon of learning, to take some time to learn something new with a teacher you haven't encountered yet. I'll be teaching as part of that Learnathon. My session will be at 7 p.m., and I'll be teaching a first century text about learning Torah, a little snapshot in the life of a little-known learner of Torah. So I hope you'll join me for that session and for some others as well. It's going to be a terrific day. There's more information about my session or about the Learnathon more generally in our synagogue communications and on Facebook. Secondly, speaking of Shavuot, our Erev Shavuot service, which will include the confirmation of our Helfman 10th graders, that will be Thursday evening, May 28th at 6 p.m. Please come and join. These confirmands, unfortunately, will not have the sanctuary experience that many of their predecessors have had, but we want to make this experience electronically as special and meaningful as possible. Please do join us Thursday at 6. Our festival service in the morning, which will include Yizkor, that's Friday morning, the 29th at 10:30 a.m. These two offerings can be available to you the same way that this service is. You can join on Facebook or on the streaming page on our website. Lastly, another reminder that can't be repeated too often, our clergy team and our whole staff are here for you now and always. If you need pastoral support or assistance from one of us, please don't hesitate to reach out and let us know how we can help. And now I want to share a couple of thoughts about our portion this week. As I mentioned earlier, we're beginning the reading of a new book of the Torah this week. We're starting our reading of the book of Numbers. Now, if you look at the entirety of the book of Numbers, it is a strange collection of stories and literary content. It's basically a compilation work, all of the book of Numbers. It includes history and legends. There is a census that the portion starts with. There's all kinds of different stories. It's very unclear what sort of genre of literature this book of Numbers is meant to be. There are stories about plagues and wars, about the people finding faith and losing faith, about mutiny and idolatry. It is an extremely diverse and sometimes hard to follow collection of stories in the book of Numbers. Now, the name of the book, in English we call it the Book of Numbers because it starts with the numbering of the people in the and the tribes of Israel. But in Hebrew, the name of the book, as I mentioned earlier, is Bamidbar. And Bamidbar doesn't mean numbers in Hebrew. Bamidbar means in the wilderness. And that's probably a more fitting title. The Hebrew name for this book is probably more appropriate for as a description of what it contains than the word numbers. Because the entirety of this book, and frankly, virtually all of the Israelite biblical experience, is a wilderness story. The biblical Israelite experience is a story about being in the wilderness, where we wandered for generations and generations until God saw fit to allow the promised land. If you think about the setting of the Torah, virtually all of it is wilderness stories. Half of Exodus, all of Leviticus, all of Numbers, all of Deuteronomy, all of that material takes place in the wilderness, in the desert, while the people were wandering. So, more than anything else, the wilderness is our people's biblical experience. Way more than anything else we might imagine. The Garden of Eden, or the slavery in Egypt, or the heights of Sinai, or making it into the promised land. The Torah experience is about being lost in the wilderness. So given that reality, we might well ask why that is the case. Why all of this wandering? Why all of these stories about being displaced and lost? Why would this foundational text of ours, this Torah, be so focused on showing our ancestors' homelessness, directionlessness, rootlessness? Well, we can answer this question in a number of ways. If we were folklorists, we could answer this question the same way we answer the same question about many, many different children's stories, fairy tales, or folk tales. Why are there so many of these stories that take place in the wilderness? If you read any collection of fairy tales, I can guarantee there will be a scene in virtually every story that takes place in the woods or the wilderness. Little Red Riding Hood wanders through the woods. Hansel and Gretel wander in the woods. Before Dorothy can make it to the Emerald City, she has to make it through the Enchanted Forest. There are dozens more. Virtually every children's story has a scene where the characters have to make their way through the wilderness or the woods. And part of that function of the setting is that the character has to make his or her way through uncertainty and tribulation before they can make it to the happy ending at the end of the story. Folklorists would explain why this is in a number of different ways. First of all, there is something emotionally that grabs our attention about a story set in the wilderness. It puts the listener or the viewer slightly off balance. We don't know where the wilderness is or how to get out of it any more than the character does. So we are drawn into the story. We are sharing the experience of the characters somehow. We're just as lost and confused as they are during the telling of the story. There's also, I think, a psychological aspect about stories that are set in the wilderness. And we owe this insight to Bruno Bettelheim, the psychoanalyst, who talked about the reflection of the psyche that is shown in stories that are set in the wilderness. Setting a story in the woods or in a cave or in a magical wilderness means that we go through, as part of the hearing of the story, we go through the experience of recognizing and revealing material that is normally hidden to us. The experience of the characters and our experience as an audience is an experience of uncovering things within ourselves that are normally hidden. Wilderness stories, desert stories, are always stories about self-discovery and self-realization. Bettelheim was a child psychologist, as you may know, and so this was connected with his work understanding the emotional lives of kids as well. The wilderness plays an important role in the development of children. It helps give some structure to that strange territory between childhood and maturity. It is a liminal space, neither here nor there, betwixt and between. This strange middle territory, and it's true in the life cycle story of the children of Israel as well, of homelessness, landlessness, rootlessness. Before we can make it to whatever promised land lies ahead of us in our own maturity, we have to wander through this uncertainty. So to bring it back to the title of the book and what we can learn from it. The title of the book, as I said, Bamidbar, means in the wilderness. Well, I wasn't entirely truthful when I told you that's how it's translated. More accurately, we should translate the name of the book in a wilderness. There's no direct object in Bamidbar. So, in a wilderness story is what the book of Numbers is about. The point may be that this story isn't just about that wilderness, but it is about the wilderness more generally. The wilderness that all of us experience as part of our lives as growing, maturing, developing people. It is maybe disappointing, but no less true that all of us have to go through wilderness experiences in our lives. There are always times when the way out isn't certain, when we long to go back to an earlier, easier, more innocent time, but we know that that's not going to be possible. We have to make our way through the darkness and through the difficulty if we want to make our way toward the promise on the other side. The folklorists, the anthropologists, the historians will all tell us the same thing. Making your way through the wilderness is not optional. No one can make their way to promise or redemption or revelation until we make our way through the uncertainty and the darkness of the wilderness. We have to just plunge in. There's no way around but through. But to offer us some comfort, we should remember that the experience of being in and making our way through the wilderness is universal. All of us go through this at some times, and I don't necessarily mean the literal wilderness where you need a map and a flashlight, but the wilderness may show itself in a hospital room, or behind the desk at our office, around the kitchen table in our own home, or in our own solitude after a failed relationship. All of us have had to make our way through wilderness experiences. But the comfort is that although the experience of making our way through the wilderness is universal, it is also not permanent. This is the comfort that our ancestors drew comfort from. They had to make their way through the wilderness, but they knew that their time there would be limited. Eventually there would be a way out, a light at the other side, and a path leading them to the promised land. It's important to recognize that although the passage into the promised land is very important in the life of the Jewish people, it is not celebrated in the same way or recognized in our text in the same way as our way into and through the wilderness. As I said at the beginning of my remarks today, there is so much material in the Torah dedicated to the time we spent in our wilderness, and none in the Torah itself about making our way out of it. There's no holiday commemorating the entry into the promised land and out of the wilderness. But everything that happens during the wilderness remains in our Jewish lives today. All of our festivals, all of our observances, much of our ethics and morals and values comes from the experience of being a wilderness people. The most notable and most immediately upcoming example is the history of Shavuot, the holiday of Shavuot, which we're about to celebrate this week. The experience that our ancestors had of revelation, of getting to know God through the revelation of Torah and values and its teachings, couldn't be possible unless they made their way into the wilderness to begin with. If there were no wilderness, there would be no revelation. If there were no desert, there would be no promised land. So I hope that that brings some comfort and some relief to all of us that are making our way, wandering from one day into the next and 1 week into the next, without a map, without a way forward, but knowing, because we are a faithful people with a deep, long history, that there is a way out of the wilderness. There is a promised land that lies just on the other side. And so, friends, speaking of memory and of the future, we take a moment now to prepare our hearts to do the work of memory and recollection, and to do the work for some of us of grief and memory. As we make our way towards Kaddish, if you have a prayer book that you're following along with in this morning, we're going to be continuing on page 293 of those books. Our thoughts now turn to those who have departed the earth, our own loved ones and those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. On this Shabbat morning, our hearts go out in sadness and sympathy to the families of John Cohn, Jean Goldberg, and Louis Green, who were laid to rest in recent days. As we take just a moment to remember the others whose names and whose memories remain with us as a blessing, as we prepare for Kaddish, we will turn in our books to page 294 and rise as we are able for the recitation of Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbi, ve'alma divrach yerutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayedechol Beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen, Yehei shmei Rabbi mevarach le'alam ulomei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha barichu, la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlam rabba min shmaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Hosei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen.
Friends, we are going to make our way now toward the blessings of Kiddush and Motzi, and as we do, we're going to begin with Vishamru to give thanks for the fruit of the vine and the food that sustains us on this day and at all times.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti leolam, oti leolam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yomim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. U'bayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam.
Ein merach Adonai et Yom HaShabbat v'yikadshehu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
L'chaim.
L'chaim. All right, I don't have any really fancy challah, but I have a delicious piece of seedy Jewish rye bread, so that's going to be what I'm going to say motzi over this morning. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Friends, I want to wish you all a Shabbat of rest and restoration, a weekend of calm and recovery, and a future week ahead filled with goodness and love, the embrace of those you treasure, and the warmth of a community that supports you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.